My family didn't invite me to Christmas, but sent me a $25,000 invoice for my sister's car. I found out I wasn't invited to Christmas the same way I found out about the invoice, through an email. No call. No message. Just a cold line of text in my inbox on December 22nd. As you haven't contributed to Lindsay's car after Dad's passing, we've divided the payment. Your share is $25,000. Please transfer it by January 5th. That was it. No Merry Christmas, no invitation to join the family dinner. Just a bill, like I was some stranger who owed them money. I sat in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, the soft glow of my second-hand Christmas tree twinkling in the corner. The ornaments were all mismatched, mostly from thrift stores or handmade. One was even a paper star my old neighbor's daughter gave me. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. I closed the email and stared blankly at the wall. It wasn't about the money. I could have paid it. I had been working double shifts as a nurse for the last 6 months and had finally started saving. It was about the message underneath: you don't matter unless you pay up. Growing up, I was always the quiet one. Not rebellious, not the favorite. Just background noise. My sister Lindsay was the star, blonde, bubbly, homecoming queen, daddy's pride. I was the one who stayed in on prom night to study anatomy, the one who didn't get into arguments or parties. Just someone they never quite saw. And now, even after all these years, even after taking care of Dad in his final days while everyone else was too busy to help, I still wasn't invited. But I was expected to pay. I spent Christmas Eve at the hospital, pulling a double shift because Maria, one of our elderly patients, didn't have anyone else. She had Alzheimer's and called me pumpkin every time I walked in. I didn't correct her. Around midnight, I brought her a small Christmas cupcake and sat with her while the world outside rang with celebration. She smiled and clapped her hands like a child when I lit the candle. For a few minutes, she forgot she was alone. And somehow, in that little room that smelled like antiseptic and peppermint lotion, I didn't feel so alone either. But when I got home at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning, exhaustion hit hard. I took off my scrubs and sat at my small kitchen table. The invoice still haunted my mind. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Mr. Hensley, our 85-year-old neighbor. Saw your light. Merry Christmas. Hot cocoa in the hallway. Take some if you're up. I smiled. He had no idea how much that meant. I opened the door and found a little tray with 2 mugs and a candy cane. One mug had a note. You matter more than you know. I don't know if he meant it to be deep, but in that moment, it hit me like a wave. I teared up, first time I'd cried in weeks. Maybe I didn't matter to my family, but I mattered somewhere. That week, I didn't reply to the invoice. I let the silence answer for me. I didn't want confrontation, I just let it be. Then, New Year's Eve came. I was scheduled for another night shift, but at 5 p.m., a nurse from the children's ward came running. Can anyone assist in pediatrics? Emergency foster intake. Kids refusing to speak. I volunteered. That's how I met Alex, a 9-year-old boy with wild curls and terrified eyes. He had been found alone in an abandoned house with a broken arm. No one knew how long he had been there. He didn't speak a word. I sat beside him, slowly unpacking a puzzle on the table. Not asking questions. Just being there. 2 hours passed before he whispered, "Do you have a mom?" I nodded. Yeah. But we're not close. He looked at me like I had told him a secret. Me too. That was it. That small exchange was the start. For the rest of the week, whenever I had time, I'd sit with him. We played games, shared snacks, and I told him silly stories from the hospital. He laughed, softly, but it was real. On January 4th, the day before my invoice was due, I got a call from CPS. They were overwhelmed and needed emergency foster placement for Alex. I didn't hesitate. I had never fostered before, but I asked what I needed to do. They gave me a list. Background check, temporary clearance, home visit. I passed everything. The next day, instead of sending $25,000 to people who didn't see me, I bought a small bed, cartoon bedsheets, and a stuffed T-Rex. That evening, Alex walked into my apartment holding my hand, still unsure, still fragile, but safe. For the first time in years, my home felt full. 3 weeks later, I got another email from my sister. "We heard you took in a foster kid. That's weird. Why would you do that?" I didn't respond. I was too busy helping Alex with his reading homework and teaching him how to make grilled cheese without burning the bread. Word got out in the hospital. Donations started pouring in. Clothes, books, toys. One nurse even gave me tickets to a children's museum. The community I had quietly loved for years, patients, nurses, neighbors, they showed up for us. And then, something unexpected happened. One night, after story time, Alex looked up and asked, "Do I have to leave one day?" I hesitated. I didn't want to make promises. But I said, "You can stay as long as you want." He smiled. "Can I call you Mom?" I cried harder than I had in years. Not because I had longed to be called that. But because in that word, Mom, I finally felt seen, needed, loved. Months passed. The family never followed up on the money. I suppose they realized I wouldn't send it. But I did send them something, one photo of Alex and me baking cookies, flour all over our faces, both of us grinning like fools. No caption. Just the image. No response. But that was okay. Because I'd found something deeper than family by blood. I'd found family by choice. And in giving a child a home, I gave myself one too. Moral. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you will disappoint you, but the universe has a beautiful way of leading you to those who will. You don't owe anyone your peace, your money, or your presence, especially when they don't value your heart. Love shows up in small, unexpected ways. It may not come from where you hoped, but when it does, it can heal more than you ever thought possible. And sometimes, the family you build is the one that finally sees you for who you really are.